Welcome back, Reader Pops. That was cheesy. Hi, Reader Pops. Welcome back. If you're not new to watching BookTube videos, you might be aware that people make these things called monthly TBRs, and it's a stack of books that you want to read for the month. Now, it's pretty well known that these TBRs are a very loose suggestion of what you could read, and it typically doesn't go according to plan. But Ryan and I spent a month in California, and I could only bring this many books. And we only had 1 week left, and I hadn't read any of them. And there's something so demoralizing about coming home and putting these all back on my unread shelf when they're the only ones that I brought with me. So I tried to read my entire monthly TBR in 1 week. So have fun watching that. And today I will be reading every book that you will ever have on the TBR. It is Friday at 8 p.m. and I'm going to get started on the first book on my TBR, which is actually very funny because this book doesn't come out for another 4 days, and the bookstore that I'm near keeps on putting out new release books a week before they actually come out, which I think is just the funniest thing because every time I buy a book that shouldn't be out yet, the person at the cash register is like, "Oh, we just put this out on the table. It just came out." And I'm like, I bet it did just come in a box because it's supposed to stay in that box for a week. I'm not supposed to have this right now, but it's okay. By the time you're watching this, it's out. It's a novel love story by Ashley Poston. This is probably, after Emily Henry's new book, my most anticipated book all year because 7 Years Slip by this author last year, probably one of my favorite books of the entire year. Her books are so unique and amazing. The thing that makes them so one of a kind is that they have magical realism in them. So in 7 Years Slip, it was an apartment that would travel backwards in time 7 years or forwards in time 7 years with no rhyme or reason. She doesn't explain them. It doesn't have a magic system, quote unquote. It doesn't get complicated. It just is magic and it's not explained, but it's so fun and it's so whimsical. And in this one, she is suddenly taken into the town of her favorite book series, like a 5-book series that she's obsessed with. She's driving in the rain on her way to a book club vacation of sorts when she just finds herself in the fictional town. I'm 118 pages in it. This author's favorite word is the word bright. I've noticed it in this one and the last one, and I love it. Bright and golden is how she describes people's smiles, and I think it's the cutest thing I've ever read in my entire life. And this is just the most anticipated book on my TBR this whole month, this whole year. So this will be such an easy book to get through. I'm excited to see what the romance is going to be like in this book because so far his name is Anders. He's also in this town and he's aware that he's in a fictional town. So he's kind of the only person that she's been talking to, but they are not friends right now. They are enemies right now. So I'm very curious to see how this turns around and they start liking each other. We shall see. Can't see. Good morning. It's Saturday now. This book is gonna be my best friend all day. I'm just gonna try to finish it. I'm on page 139 out of 357 pages. You can do the math on that. I don't know what it is. I kind of was dreaming about this book last night. I was thinking about how cool it is that this is just like a adventurous little book. Like it's kind of giving Narnia, Alice in Wonderland. She's just going on a little adventure in her favorite fictional series town. And it's so fun. She's meeting the new characters and they're all very whimsical characters. They're kind of larger than life type characters. It's not just like a rom-com character, if that makes any sense. So I'm so excited to see where this goes. Good morning, guys. It's now Sunday, and I'm parked in a very beautiful neighborhood in LA. Ryan's playing pickleball, and I said, you go have fun. I'm gonna sit in the car for 3 hours and finish my TBR for the entire month. I have, I think, 30 pages left of a novel love story. I read a lot yesterday, and then was trying to finish it before bed, and then I fell asleep. So I'm gonna finish this up within 30 minutes, I'm assuming. And then I brought 3 more books for my TBR here, just in case. I don't know which one I'm gonna want to choose. Originally, I was just gonna bring The Resort, which is a thriller book, but then I was like, what if I don't want to read a thriller? So I also brought Lovely War, which is historical fiction, young adult, and I also brought Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, which looks like a suspense. Hopefully it's not horror. I'm sure it'll have some, but so yeah, if any of you guys out there are the ones who commented, please do a reading in your car for 24 hours challenge. I randomly got so many of those comments. I don't think I need to be doing that. Although if someone else did it, I think I would eat it up, so it kind of makes sense, but consider this my 24-hour reading challenge, and I'm gonna get started by finishing the last 30 pages of this book. I love reading books about authors. I wonder why. You guys! I finished the book. I don't know if you can tell, but as I was reading this book, I didn't really talk about how I was feeling about it emotionally. And that is because I feel so bad. I didn't feel much emotionally while reading this book. No, it actually makes me so sad because 7 Year Slip was my favorite book last year. Same author, amazing concept. Wow, my face is oily. I put my face in the book and it's gross. The plot of this book was most of the plot, and that probably sounds like I messed up my sentence, but I didn't. The plot of her going into a fiction book was the whole story, and the romance was not romancing for me at all. I don't understand why she liked Anders. I don't know anything about Anders. I know he has minty green eyes and he smells like black tea. Other than that, I know nothing. I know that he was mean to her at first, and I was so curious of how they would fall in love, but then we would just get distracted by the plot, and she was making ripples in the town by being there because she wasn't a fictional character. So she would get distracted by these subplots where she needed to go fix things, and the romance would just be put on a hold, and it just didn't ever happen. Like, I was trying to think back in my memory of like what interaction did they have where they were falling in love, and I could not think of a single one. Like, I don't know what happened. I legitimately can't remember if we even get an explanation. It's actually so confusing. And then I looked at other reviews and people were saying the same thing, which made me feel better because it almost felt like my brain was glitching, and I was like, did I just not pay attention? But no, I just don't think anything happened for the romance. We don't even get much development for him except at the end of the book when we get a reveal of who he is. I feel like that's when we started to develop his character, and it could have actually been really helpful to know it towards the beginning of the book because then you would know more about him. Even in her first book, The Dead Romantics, I only gave that book 3 or 3.5 stars because I feel like the plot in the middle I didn't love so much, but the romance in that book ate so hard. This one, the concept of the book is so cool, and I like that she's in a book club, and I like that she accidentally went to a fictional town, but everything else just was not fleshed out to me, and I just kept feeling so confused because I was like, there's no way that this book is a 3-star, but I feel like it is, which is so shocking to me. I would have never guessed that this book would be 3 stars. I'm so confused. It makes me actually so sad. Like, I was looking forward to this book so much, but her writing is still amazing. Like, if you're gonna pick up this book, you're not gonna have a bad time, I don't think. I did keep getting distracted though, so maybe you could get bored, but her writing is really comforting and sweet, and it felt like a hug at the end, but the whole middle did kind of feel like work to read, which is just, I'm so shocked, honestly. So sad, but I read it. It doesn't come out for 2 more days, so I'm excited to see what other people think. I think 3.5 stars. I still love her. I'll read everything. Even the novella I read from her this year had a better romance. I'm so confused what happened in this book. Very confusing. But now I need to read what book I'm gonna read next, and we'll see. We'll see what I choose. It's a mystery even to me. It's 9 p.m. on Monday, and I wish I had started Happiness for Beginners by Catherine Center earlier in the day because I was procrastinating it all day. Couldn't tell you why. And I sat down to read it. I got to page 47. I was laughing out loud. Ryan was taking out his headphones, looking at me. Oh, sorry. That was aggressive. But this book is eating. It's gas. It is every other Gen Z language for amazing. I put this in a reel that I made, and I'm pretty sure I said, oh, they go hiking in California. That's why I brought it with me to California. No, they're going to Wyoming. Also, fun fact, this is a movie on Netflix, and I've clicked on it before, and I didn't like it, so I clicked off, which I'm glad I clicked off because now I can go into this book without knowing really what's going on. But Catherine Center's writing drops you right into the center of a book. She doesn't waste time with explanations, with boring details. You're right in the middle of a scene, and the characters they just do things that make you understand a lot about their personality really quickly, and it's so funny. Especially these characters are making me laugh so much, and I'm already swooning. I want them to get together so bad. That was like 20 pages in. We're following Helen. I don't actually know how old she is, but I'm guessing she's, actually I do know, she's 32 because she's 10 years older than the other guy. Is that right? 10 or 8 years. Let's say Helen is like 30. She teaches elementary school, and she's newly divorced as of a year ago. And she is trying to drop off her dog with her brother, Duncan. He's younger, he's always rambunctious, he's not very smart. He'll offer to take care of her dog and then just ghost her. Not responsible, she's always getting mad at him. And Duncan's best friend is Jake. And obviously, if Jake is friends with her brother Duncan, she's gonna put him in the same category of irresponsible, annoying, all of these things. And it turns out the hiking trip, which is very dangerous by the way, that she's going to tomorrow, Jake is also going on. I don't know how much more to say. Jake is just not who she expected him to be, and I've never seen a trope like this where she's older and he is just breaking every expectation that she had of him. He went to Harvard, he's actually very responsible, and it's just really cute. Like, he admitted to having a crush on her when he went to her wedding, which is where he met her, but he was like 16 years old at the time. So there is an age gap. I don't know if it's 8 or 10 years, and I don't know what that's gonna be like, but so far I have my highlighter out. Her books are normally more of like a literary fiction with a romance on the back burner, but this one is coming in strong with the romance. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Her writing is so unique. Like, here's a sentence. They start playing a game of Scrabble, and then she says, guess what? He won. I don't know, it just feels like she's talking to me, and it's very simple, but she's such a good author. Like, I feel like if I wrote like that, I'd be like, oh no, I'm probably doing it wrong. But I feel like she just kind of bends the rules because she's good at it. She's funny. Told ya. I love how a good romance can make a 30-year-old woman feel like a middle schooler. That's good writing. That's just good old romance. I'm post-beach shower, which are the best vibes, and I read like 100 pages on the beach. This book is so good. There's a review on the front that says, you'll read this book in one sitting, and I wish I could if I was in one spot for that long, but her books are just so easy to read all the way through. There's always something happening. You might think, what is there to read about on an intense hiking trip in Wyoming with a divorced, she's actually a 32-year-old woman, but so many things happen. One thing happened that really actually had me grimacing because I don't want to spoil it, but like it made me hello? It made me squeamish to read it. Also, I got my nails done. I tried the jelly nail look. So I'm on page 200 exactly, and there's about 300 pages, I believe, and I'm so looking forward to finishing it. There are some things happening right now that I do not like. I hope it gets resolved in the way that I want it to. I don't know if this is necessarily classified as just a romance book, so I don't know if what I want is going to happen. We'll find out. Forgot to flex that this book is signed. She sent me like 3 of her books after I gave Hello Stranger by her 6 stars, and she's so nice. She lives in Houston, Texas, which is the same state I live in. I love you, Catherine. Surprise, it's July 2nd. I failed this challenge epically, embarrassingly. I was like, maybe I should just turn this into a different video, but that's not happening. We've read these books so far. Catherine Center's book was so good that I want it to be in this video. We're back home from California now, and the goal was to put these books onto my bookshelf at home on the red shelf instead of back onto the TBR because that feels like regression a little bit. I read these 2 books, and then I started The Resort by Sarah Oakes. This is like a tropical thriller. They're in Thailand. We're following 2 perspectives. One of them is an influencer and another one of them is a dive instructor, and then someone dies underwater, and it's the second death that's happened on the island, so people are starting to get suspicious. I got 130 pages into this book. I think the characters are what is making me not drawn to it. I don't feel any sense of suspense. I don't feel any sense of like, oh, it's a thriller, I need to know what's going on. I don't feel that at all. And I think part of it is the influencer's perspective, especially. Obviously, I post on the internet for a living. Reading it, it's just feeling a little flat, a little two-dimensional, a little bit like stereotypical of what you would think. I don't know. Not to say that it's not accurate. Sure, it could be. The other character as well. Honestly, all of the characters just are feeling very flat. They don't feel real to me, and I think because of that, I just am not caring about the story at all. And every time I pick it up, it was getting a little bit comical because I would pick up the book and then I would think of a new app on my phone that I could check, and it would be something like my Aura sleep score. Like, that is how in the weeds I was getting because this book was just boring me so bad that I just kept wanting to pick up my phone for less and less important things. Not that my sleep score on my Aura ring is not important, but you know what I mean. So I think I'm finally going to admit to myself that I just need to DNF this, because even if I did finish it, it probably wouldn't be a very high rating. It is this author's debut novel. I actually listened to a podcast of her talking about writing. She's mostly a law professor, and then she would write in the morning for an hour, which I think is really cool. I think it's a really cool story of like how you can publish while having a full-time job. So that was interesting, but this book just wasn't for me. But who's to say her second or third book won't be better? So I'm gonna DNF that, which puts us at 3 out of 6 books done. Not that I read it, but you know what I mean, I tried. I'm back home with Spock. We're at Ryan's dad's house, like I said. So I'm gonna choose another book and we're gonna start it outside, where books should be read in the summertime. I just started Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, and reading at Ryan's dad's house is actually so nostalgic because it's where I discovered reading, and I posted my first book videos ever from this house. It's also where I did my first ever reading for 24 hours straight video. Finally back in the library, finally back home. After we came back from California, we spent like a week with Ryan's dad. Spent 4th of July there, started rewatching Lost because they put it on Netflix and it's so good. But in terms of books, I finished Sally Girls Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, and this took me 13 days to finish, which isn't bad for a book by any means, but usually for thrillers, I picture more of a binge reading vibe. And fun fact, if you don't follow me on Instagram or TikTok or my main channel, I have been writing my manuscript for a book. That's a very big piece of lore to be just dropping in the middle of this video, but I started really getting serious about the manuscript while filming this video, which was kind of a hilariously bad idea because I was trying to read 6 books in 1 week and then also get like at least 2,000 words a day. So that's why this video did not pan out how I was expecting it to pan out, but that's okay. We still read 3.5 books kind of, but this one was much slower than I anticipated it being. I feel like the setup took a really long time, and then the last 50 pages of the reveal was really good, but I wasn't that invested for the first part of it, and it felt like a repeat experience with this one where I was like, man, I'm just not getting into thrillers right now. I don't know what it is. I think they just happened to be like that for me. So overall for my June TBR, out of these 6 books, we ended up reading these 4. This one was fun, but unexpectedly a little bit disappointing. 3.5 stars. I still think about this book. This is a 4.5. You need to read Catherine Center. Recently, anytime anyone asks me for a book recommendation, I instantly just point them to her. I've read 4 of her books now, and this one is just so good, especially coming from someone who doesn't like hiking. Like, that could not be further from one of the things that I enjoy. And this entire book is about an extremely difficult hiking trip. It was phenomenal. I just don't really see the trope ever of like being so unabashedly in love with someone, just like telling it to their face and just knowing it straight up at the beginning of the book. There's no games being played. It's just like, I've had a crush on you for years. So that's out in the open. It's just something about that is so swoon worthy. I also am usually never a fan of age gaps, and this one has a 10-year age gap, but because of how the guy who is younger is written, it just doesn't feel like an age gap romance. Like, I just did not consider this book that the entire time that I read it, so it didn't faze me. I would definitely tell you if it did. Yeah, 4.5 stars. I still need to watch the movie for this book on Netflix. And then we had a DNF, which is unfortunate, but I'm glad that I gave it my best shot. I really did. And then this book, I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It definitely wasn't a bad thriller by any means. It was a very satisfying ending, just a little bit too slow for my thriller taste. Oh, I didn't realize that this light started being really weird. I'm so sorry. That leaves I can't say this. Mr. Mercedes and Lovely War left, which is really funny because looking at both of these books, these are probably the highest probability of being a 5-star. One of these is probably going to be. Stephen King, amazing. This book, so much hype. Sounds right up my alley. So I will be reading them. I just didn't read them in a week. And honestly, I did not read these in a week either because I just told you that this book took me 13 days. So this video should have just been titled Trying to Read My Monthly TBR, but you saw the goal. I said it in the beginning, so I can't take that back. And we're honest on this channel if I fail a goal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to keep up with me writing a book, follow my Instagram or TikTok or main channel, and I will see you guys somewhere else on the internet. Bye.